Hey there, everybody. It's Mr. Cannon here, back again for the next screencast in our senior project slideshow series. This one, we're talking about research. So, what is research? Seems like a silly question, but let's put it in the context of senior project. Research is when you, the student, uses sources beyond your previous knowledge to try and answer your essential question or sub-essential questions. So, what does that actually mean? Well, in order to do your project, to answer your EQs, to complete your AOK, we figure you should probably gain some expertise in your topic, in the topic of your project. And so that's what the research is for. And for what it's worth, at some point later on in the year, towards the end of the year, you're going to be presenting this project to your friends and members of the school and community. And they're going to want to see that research. They're going to want to see that you've learned something. And so the research portion is really key for that. All right, here we go. I'm going to throw some numbers at you. So just bear with me. Watch for the changes and try and keep up. For the research, you are going to need 6 total sources. 6 total sources. Of those sources, they must be of 4 different types. Okay, they can't all be internet sites. I know you do a lot of research on the internet, and I get all that, but for this, we're actually going to push you to try and diversify where you are sourcing your research. One of those 6 sources must be from one of the BHS Library online databases. At this point, all of you should be familiar with those databases and how to use them, but certainly the librarians in the library, they can help you out with any of that. All right, so 6 total sources needing 4 different types. You might be thinking, but Mr. Cannon, what do you mean by 4 different types? Well, here is just a list. This is not an exhaustive list. It's just a list of different types of sources that you might use for your senior project. Online database from the BHS Library site. An interview, that's always really great, especially if your outside expert is an expert in the topic. You could interview them, and that would be a really great source. Video sources, I know that you guys use a lot of videos from YouTube. There might be something out there that's high quality that you can certainly integrate as a piece of research. The internet, informational websites in this case. Books are amazing. We have lots of books in the library. Encyclopedias, current events from newspapers, magazines, or periodicals. If it's an academic type of project, you might find something in an academic journal or something like that. You could use social media as a source. You could use audio as a source depending on your project. There is no shortage of different sources that you can use. Remember, 6 total, 4 different types. One of them must be online database. After you read and utilize each source, you need to put that information into the annotated bibliography. Because once you have the research, you got to package it. And in this case, the package is the annotated bibliography. That's the thing you are going to produce. So what's that? What is an annotated bibliography? Well, it is a bibliographical, it's a list of all of your sources, and for each source, you will sort of comment on what it is, and I'll talk about that on the next slide. You'll describe the info that you learned, the reliability of the source, and how you will use it. In order to do this, you need to create a Google Doc of your own that will then live in your quarter 2 folder for senior project in your Google Drive, all right? What that annotated bibliography needs to look like is this. First and foremost, it has to have a citation for every source that you use. So each of your 6 sources needs to have a citation, and that citation needs to be in the current MLA format, which the most important piece, or at least an important piece of that, is that it has to be in alphabetical order. So the citations must be placed in alphabetical order. Beneath each citation is a series of 3 paragraphs. In each of these paragraphs, you must do the following. First paragraph, you have to summarize the source and what was learned from it. The second paragraph has to evaluate the source. Tell me about the source. Is it a reliable source? Why or why not? Does a source offer quality information? What's the range of the information and where is it limited? That sort of stuff. The third paragraph sort of you apply that information to your project. How are you going to use this source on your project? In terms of length of these paragraphs, we get asked this a lot. A paragraph is a paragraph. 3 to 5 sentences should be sufficient if they are clear and thorough and thoughtful. That should be fine. A few things about formatting this. There are some samples on the Senior Project website that you can look at. Obviously, if you have questions about MLA formatting, the best resources that I know of is to go to the online writing lab, the OWL or OWL at Purdue. Their annotated bibliographies look a little bit different than ours in terms of what these paragraphs are, but in terms of what the citation needs to look like, the OWL at Purdue is pretty solid for that. The most important thing I would say for formatting is to look at the annotated bibliography rubric. Really look at that rubric, see what those formatting requirements are, and make sure that you have checked all the boxes, okay? All of your research needs to be done by the end of quarter 2, all 6 sources of 4 different types. One of them has to be a database, annotated bibliography entry for each. Make sure those sources are in alphabetical order. And then once all of that is done and good and ready to go, just make sure it is in the quarter 2 folder in your Google Drive and that it is available for your mentor to see, making sure that those sharing permissions say anyone with the link can view. All right, so you might still have questions. If you do, talk to your senior project mentor. Check out the Purdue OWL for help. You can always go to the Senior Project Study Hall room in 348, or you can come find me, Mr. Cannon, signing off on the Research Slideshow.